The importance of network and alliance building is nothing new in the School of Careering. Networks represent influence, access to resources, and information. They also offer protection against conflicts. Besides all technological advances, networks will continue to shape how humans engage in life and business. What is discussed to a much lesser extent is the change in networks dynamics when building a global career working across geographies. Pursuing a global life and career has both opportunities and challenges. In this video, I will address them based on my experience of 12 years living and working across 7 countries. The underlying dynamic in network expansion management is the distinction between weak and strong ties. The concept was formalized by Mark Granovetter in his 1973 paper, The Strength of Weak Ties. His core finding? Weak ties, meaning acquaintances rather than close relationships, are disproportionately responsible for new information and technologies, particularly in job mobility. Strong ties, such as close colleagues or friends, provide trust, support, and reinforcement, but they tend to operate within the same information circles. This was later empirically supported by Harvard Business School research using LinkedIn data, which showed that weak ties are significantly more effective in generating job opportunities than strong ties due to the access to non-redundant information. 2 examples. Firstly, think about gaining internal support for a project. Strong tie connections have a higher probability of being willing and able to throw their weight behind your initiative, since A, it is easier to align interests and work out win-wins, and B, he or she will likely have the resources like influence, funds, or expertise required to support you. Of course, it not only applies to internal projects, but also cross-functional ones, as long as the threshold in interest proximity is maintained. As a second example, think about an internal promotion situation. In most cases, the tie between you and your manager is falling into the strong category due to your proximity working closely together. 2 situations. First, if your manager does perceive your performance as insufficient, they are incentivized to terminate you rather than risking their reputation in recommending you for a promotion or keeping you on board in a challenging environment. This shows the importance of strong ties when it comes to consolidation and stabilization. Second, if your manager does perceive you as a high performer, it is not in their direct interest to promote you if that means you will leave his or her team. Your promotion will consequently create a resource problem that they have to deal with. Some leaders act strategically and support their talents in moving on, since they know that these individuals will leave eventually if they feel stuck. Better to lose them from the team, but keeping them within the company, than losing them completely in the worst case to the competition. In contrary, a connection following into the weak category is much more likely to offer you opportunities, since they are not penalized for doing so, and presenting you with an opportunity is likely to support their own interests as well. This shows the importance of weak tie relationships in opening doors. In summary, weak ties expand your opportunities, while strong ties stabilize your position once you're inside. Let's apply this framework to global versus local or HQ-driven career paths. Due to our nature of being social beings, networks will always have a strong local and regional component. This is also the underlying rationale for pursuing an MBA in the geography that you want to work in after your graduation. An MBA in the US will be of limited value to the job market in Europe and vice versa, especially considering tuition and opportunity costs. The same applies to your ability to access and build networks. In a location-focused career, for example, building a career in one country or climbing the corporate ranks in the HQ, proximity effects will help you in building more strong ties concentrated in one company or one geography. Especially if you are from a similar ethnic, geographical, or social background, you increase your chances of becoming part of the clique. This can be an extremely powerful tool, especially if your aim is to rise high in the hierarchy. On the flip side, you must pay special attention to widening your network by building additional weak ties, for example, through engagement in clubs and associations. Although those will be geographically concentrated, engaging yourself outside your company will help you to build a wider network of loose connections. If you follow a global career with regular location changes, you will automatically develop a more geographically diverse network of weak ties. Strategic networking efforts can be divided in 4 categories. 1. Developing new internal networks in your new host company. 2. Developing new external networks in your new host country. 3. Maintaining internal networks to the HQ and other regions. 4. Maintaining external networks in your home country. I recommend you to focus the first weeks and months on developing new internal and external networks in your new location. Firstly, because it will help you with settling in your new environment and excel in your role. Secondly, because time to implementation is critical in timed global roles. Building new connections will always require considerable time and energy, while the positive effects will compound at a later stage, even as you channel the majority of your energy elsewhere. Once you have a first success story or generally interesting learnings to share, you can dedicate more energy to maintaining your internal and external network within the headquarters, respectively your home country. In addition to this broad categorization, the following 4 structural dynamics play a crucial role. Number 1, regular resets. You enter new networks as an outsider with lack of historical credibility. Number 2, you have limited time to build networks before you might switch geographies again. Number 3, previous external networks lose relevance once you depart. 4, internal networks to the headquarters and other regions are of highest importance, yet often neglected. Let's look at the structural dynamics in detail. Dynamic number 1, regular resets. You must understand the opportunity lies in the challenge. If you pivot into a new industry, you will also need to invest more time and energy into getting up to speed than staying within your own old field. But if you manage to transition well, it will enrich your life and career and increase your options. The same applies to geographical changes. It takes a lot of energy upfront to reap the benefits later on. The classic definition of an investment. Dynamic number 2, limited time. Since most international roles are time limited, it is important to immediately start building your network and not wait until you are settled to avoid losing valuable time. Get engaged outside your work and contribute to clubs and associations immediately. Be the new one in town that directly makes waves. There are plenty of country and industry-related organizations that offer fantastic opportunities to exchange and learn from each other. For example, I'm involved in FlexPat China, a community of FlexPat, meaning flexible expats, and friends inspired by the business and career advice podcast of the same name, helping ambitious professionals of all walks of life excelling in their careers in China. Dynamic number 3, previous external networks lose relevance fast. You must pay special attention to maintaining these relationships, especially after your departure. Nowadays, technology helps. Maintaining relationships digitally is not ideal, but still much better than letting them fade out completely. A good effect is that maintaining relationships remotely is much easier than creating new relationships that way. A good analogy is the muscle memory effect. Muscle strength and functionality, once built, is comparatively easy to maintain, and even rebuilding after loss due to inactivity is faster and more effective. Dynamic number 4. Internal networks to the HQ and other regions are of highest importance, yet often neglected. Maintaining your professional relationships in your home base or the headquarters is the most important task, since you need to offset your disadvantage caused by the geographical distance. In addition of leveraging technology for regular virtual check-ins as described in the previous point, I follow a structured approach for in-person exchanges. Every year I visit the HQ at least once ideally more often, and extend my stay for a couple of days for strategic networking. For each visit, I plan far in advance and block calendars for one-on-one or group catch-ups. I schedule considering the following aspects. 1. Whom to meet. 2. Which format. For example, official meeting, coffee, lunch, dinner, or a joint workout, following the preference and availability of the person I will meet. 3. Where to meet. Again, following the preference of whom I meet. 4th, what to talk about, in alignment with the interest and function of the person I meet. Number 5, personalized gifts as appropriate. The weekdays I use to meet with colleagues. The weekend is reserved for meeting people outside of my organization. I ensure to fill up my calendar around 80 to 90% and leave a bit of wiggle room for impromptu meetings. While at first this approach might feel as not working on the important or operational topics, it makes much more sense after you switch your perspective. Investing 3 or 5 days a year for strategic networking is an investment into your influence that will benefit the organization and your future. With this approach, I try to offset the consequential disadvantage of working far away from the center of power by maintaining familiarity and keeping a finger on the organization's pulse. This allows me to align my team's priorities with those of the wider organization. In addition to playing into the 4 dynamics, here are 2 extra tips to increase your visibility. Leverage. First, internal marketing and communication tools. Second, external social media networks. Third, send meaningful personal messages. For extra tip number 1, build a communication plan to highlight your team's and your organization's achievements in your company's internal channels. Most organizations have internal cloud platforms like Slack or MS Teams with social media characteristics. Professionalize your team's organization's page, invite colleagues to follow it, and publish regular updates following the mindset of do good and talk about it. Use every opportunity to storytell your progress. First, invite overseas visitors, even if they are from unrelated departments, and visit your location for a different reason, and have an exchange. Keep close connections with those who plan the visit management. For example, colleagues from the admin department. Number 2, present in online and in-person seminars or exchanges and educate the audience on the positive impact of your achievements on the organization's success. Extra tip number 2, leveraging external social media networks. Social media is a great tool to increase your visibility in internal and external networks and build your personal brand. This approach complements in-person exchanges and internal marketing. While it is less personal, it allows you to convey messages to a wider audience both in your direct and extended network. It is not only who you know, but also who knows you. For all communication channels, learn the art of storytelling and get fluent in dramatizing your achievements by highlighting the impact on the company's bigger picture and key priorities. Instead of saying, we increased output by 15%, communicate, our successful market entry generated additional X% top line and Y% bottom line for the group. It opened the market opportunity for Z% in additional sales in a business environment that we have thought we had lost. Extra tip number 3, send meaningful personal messages. Congratulatory private messages for achievements or milestones. No matter if promotions, birthdays, religious or state festivities, or other milestones in life, reach out to your network. It shows that you care and you make the effort. One habit I have is that whenever I'm reminded of someone in my daily life, I send them a short message, written, audio, or a video, whatever works in the moment and is appropriate for the given context. For example, I reference the experience that we shared and express my appreciation and how our connection is enriching my life till this day. It can be something completely banal. If it triggers a positive joint memory, it'll make them feel appreciated and strengthen your bond. To make your life easier, use your calendar to remember important dates and use notes to remember details you might otherwise forget. As a takeaway from this video, implement this from today on. Number 1, make networking a priority. It's a non-negotiable deliverable of your role and prioritize it accordingly. It is an investment in your future that compounds over time. Don't waste time waiting for the perfect time or once you're settled. Start today. Number 2, use weak ties to access opportunities. Number 3, use strong ties to consolidate your position once inside. Number 4, understand the networking opportunities and challenges that your situation entails and tailor it to your approach. Number 5, use a communication mix containing personal messages, events, and social media. If you are interested in building a global life and career, subscribe to my channel. I share practical tips from my experience of growing my career working across 7 countries. And let me know your approach in expanding your networks at home and abroad in the comments.